Hello and welcome to Retro Reviews, my channel where I review my favorite retro video games of all time, as well as some modern releases I have recently finished. Thank you so much for 600 subscribers. It feels fantastic to hit this milestone finally. Just a quick reminder, if you're not subscribed, feel free to subscribe. At 1,000 subscribers, I will be giving away a sealed copy of Octopath Traveler. If you comment on this video after subscribing and liking this video, I will be culminating all the ones from all the other videos I've talked about the giveaway. I'm going to be getting all the names for the people that commented that they want to be a part of it, and I'm going to randomly pick one at 1,000 subscribers, and I'll send that copy for free. So if you want to be entered in that giveaway, please subscribe, like, and comment on this video or any of the other ones that talk about the giveaway, and you'll be entered for that. So again, thank you so much for 600 subscribers. I wanted to commemorate that with a review of one of my favorite video games of all time, my third favorite on my all-time list. That is The Last of Us by Naughty Dog. No edits today. I'm recording this one a little close to 2 o'clock, so I want to make sure I get it out on time. Hopefully I can. I plan on talking about this one for a while. This one will be a full spoilers review of The Last of Us. So if you've somehow not played this game yet, go play it on the PlayStation 3. There's a remastered version on the PlayStation 4, and there's another remastered version on the PlayStation 5. So you have pretty much any avenue there to go ahead and try out this game. But it is, in my opinion, a masterpiece in every respect and the best story ever told in video games. So let's talk about what makes it special. So the prologue starts off with Joel and his daughter Sarah. And it's his birthday. He's clearly been working really hard. She's surprised him with a watch. He puts it on, having a great time. A little bit later, she wakes up from sleeping and notices that something feels a little bit amiss. She maybe hears something outside, and Joel is missing. Her dad is missing. She sees on the TV some alarming news going on. After a while, an explosion happens outside. I want to take a note really fast. The inside of every room at the beginning of this game absolutely blew my mind when it came out on the PlayStation 3 because everything was so insanely detailed. The room was so meticulous. If you walk in the bathroom, you see this gorgeous reflection. Like, everything works so well. The explosion outside is very detailed. It's the best looking game on the PlayStation 3 by a mile, and they really maximized what the PlayStation 3 could do to make this game. And it's amazing that throughout the majority of the experience, you don't really have frame rate stutters. You don't have a whole lot of anything. I think the remastered version of the PlayStation 4 was definitely the best way to play it because it took use of the capabilities of the PlayStation 4, but they did a stunning job with the PlayStation 3 version. I have beaten this game something like 10 to 12 times at this point, so I will be talking about this one extensively here. Anyway, let's get back to it. Sarah is concerned. She goes downstairs looking for her dad. He finally comes in through the sliding glass door, closes it behind him, trying to tell Sarah that something bad is going on, and a guy comes and is trying to break down the glass door. I think it's one of their neighbors. He's freaking out. Joel pulls a gun out. Sarah's losing it because she has no idea what's going on. Guy finally breaks the glass. Joel guns him down, takes Sarah outside, and his brother Tommy meets them with a truck. They try and get out of town, but they can't. Everything's blocked off. Everyone has the same idea. Pandemonium, chaos ensues. You have some very cinematic moments, very much like the Uncharted series, but definitely more grounded, where you have a car crash and them trying to get through places without getting attacked by these crazy people trying to hurt them. And Sarah injures her leg, so Joel has to carry her. He's running for his life at this point, and just as he's about to be overtaken by some of these crazy people, they get gunned down by a person wearing a mask and a suit and everything, and they think that they're safe. But if you've played this game, you know that is not the case. The guy starts talking in his radio. He's still got the gun trained on Joel and Sarah, and he seems hesitant, but Joel starts to figure out what's going on and realizes that they're going to get gunned down because they think that they're infected just like everybody else. And before he can do anything else, he starts to turn and bullets start to fly. He hits the ground. Guy comes up to him to put a bullet in his head, but Tommy saves the day by shooting the guy instead. And unfortunately, Sarah was hit and is just slowly bleeding out. Joel tries to cling on to her, tries to cling on to her life, holding her, just absolutely sobbing. It's a really heartbreaking thing. Easily one of the most heart-wrenching setups in a video game ever, and I can't believe that they did this, but it really sets up the tone for the rest of the game. And the rest of that game really feels very devoid of hope, devoid of happiness, so it's really beautiful when they implement points throughout this game that I'll be talking about that really instill the beauty that still exists in this world. Fast forward 20 years and Joel is now a smuggler. He's smuggling weapons, smuggling things in and out of the city for people. Pretty much the whole city's under martial law. The whole country essentially is under martial law. You have these little encampments of people where they've blocked off and barricaded places just to try and keep these infected people out. The infected are infected by some kind of fungal virus that's very reminiscent of the zombie virus that infects ants that can control them. That's what it's based on. These people get infected by it, become crazy. At first, they're very like trying to cling on to their humanity. They are still infected, but you can see them trying to get rid of it and trying to stay human as much as possible. They don't move. You can actually find these people in the world throughout the game where they don't move. They don't react to really anything you do. You have other versions that are a little bit more far gone that will just attack you on sight. You have even further gone ones called clickers that have mushrooms growing over their face. They have the virus and the fungal infection spreading over their entire bodies, and they're now blind, and they use a kind of clicking sound, why they're called clickers, to use a sort of echolocation to get around, which is one of the most horrifying sounds in all of video games, in my opinion. It's so awful to hear a clicker, and I hate it every single time, and it's terrifying because they are terrifying. The more infected they get, the more terrifying they become. You have bloaters later on that throw sacks of spores that do a ton of damage. It can kill you really quickly. They'll tear you in half if they get close to you. One of the craziest and awful things in this game are the death animations. I think this kind of all started with Tomb Raider. That the PlayStation 3 era definitely did this the best, where they add these death animations to show off the capabilities of the engines and the hardware at the time, and they are brutal. And The Last of Us did it definitely the grossest. There's times where you'll have like something grabbing Joel's jaws and slowly prying them open. It's absolutely horrific, and just some of the death animations are pretty crazy. I really love the detail. As disturbing as it is, I don't really love blood and gore in a lot of things, but as disturbing as it is, it's actually just so impressive at the same time that I really can't fault it, and it really makes you want to play better so you don't ever have to experience that ever again. I believe you can skip it if you just click a button really fast to get over it, so you don't have to look at that, but it definitely is there, and one of those things that is pretty shocking, even the 10th, 11th time that you've played through the game. Now, I will talk about a little bit about the difficulties as well. After you beat the game, I think on normal or hard, I can't remember what happens, but you can unlock survival difficulty, and you can also unlock grounded difficulty, which is the best way to play it in my opinion, where you lose your HUD, your heads-up display, and you don't have like any indication that you're injured. You don't have like a health bar. You don't have any indication of your ammo. You have to keep track of everything manually. It really feels like a full survival experience, very much like you're not playing a video game anymore, that you're just experiencing this yourself. It is extremely difficult. The enemies will kill you very quickly. It's very much more lifelike than anything else. I found Grounded the most rewarding and the most fun for me. The resources are much harder to get. It's just a really cool experience. I typically don't gravitate toward the hardest experiences. I like a pretty challenging experience. I usually pick hard mode, but the hardest ones I usually stray away from, but this one is absolutely worth your time. So if you're playing through this game, definitely go back and do grounded mode again, because it's absolutely worth it. You'll scavenge throughout the world to get supplies, to craft items. Very basic crafting. You'll get just a few things. You can craft a health kit. You can craft a Molotov cocktail. You can craft shivs to kill clickers in one hit or silently kill enemies really fast. You have a lot of options in terms of how you dispatch enemies. You can sneak up on them and choke them out slowly. You can like put a gun up to their head and walk around with them and then finally shoot them, or slowly put them down. You can stab them with a shiv to get them down quickly so you can get out of the way faster if you need to maneuver. The armored infected enemies like the clickers will need a shiv to kill them in one hit. You have lots of melee weapons that you can pick up and craft on the fly. Like you can pick up a wooden board and craft some scissors to it to make it really strong, or kill enemies like clickers in one hit. There's a lot of variance in the terms of the combat that you can do. You can also just pick up bottles and bricks along the way, throw them to distract, throw them to hit, use them as like a get off me tool to run away. There's so much you can do in this game in terms of your combat. It's actually mind-melting how much they implemented, again, for a game that came out at the tail end of the PlayStation 3 era. You can even do things on the fly, like pick up a bottle and throw it with like a clean animation, like on the fly as you pick it up, toss it, and it does like a really cool thing. It's just amazing to see them put this much detail into something as intricate as the combat already is. But you also have great gunplay. This is very much reminiscent of the Uncharted games. I think it's a little bit better. It's definitely tighter. It's more, again, more grounded and focused on reality. So you have less like machine guns and more like single action guns. You have rifles that you can get, a shotgun, stuff that will be more useful to the regular person. Regular person not just be able to pick up a machine gun and just spray bullets and make it work. There's tons of stuff that you can craft later on too, like smoke bombs, and you'll get like a flamethrower later on. There's a lot that makes the game more dynamic, and the more that you explore, the more that you progress throughout the world. So the gameplay itself is really tight. I actually really like the stealth mechanics. I think they work exceptionally well, especially when you're playing on the harder difficulties. Sneaking past enemies sometimes is the best method. In Uncharted, as much as I love those games, you don't really have the option to go stealthy. It's go loud or accidentally go loud when you're trying to stealth around and it fails. That's just kind of how the way the game works, because it's scripted to be a loud game. This game is meant to be your choice. You are encouraged to be stealthy. That is one of the core mechanics of the game, but you don't have to. You can go loud at any point. And as long as you're conserving your resources as much as possible, you can do that. It's more difficult for sure. I liked sneaking around and killing enemies quietly one at a time. I thought that was definitely the best way. If an enemy finds another person down, they will be all alerted and they will be very on guard. The enemy AI is very good in this game. They do a very good job of making it feel more realistic. It's not like a bunch of the older games, RPGs, action RPGs and such, where like you'll find a dead body, search around for a while, and then be like, well, I guess they're gone now, and then go back to your designated route. They have varied routes. The AI acts very intelligently. It's really impressive to see throughout the entirety of the experience, and it seems to get progressively harder as the game goes on. You'll sometimes have enemies that have weapons. Sometimes you'll have infected that you have to fight. Sometimes it's both. And humans are typically the more dangerous thing because they have more intelligence and everything. But getting into a group of clickers and runners and everything is pretty horrifying too. So this game makes it so you never really feel safe and never feel like you shouldn't be on your toes. You can also do a lot of exploration in this game to find extra resources and find extra collectibles as well. You'll find dog tags from people. You'll find little symbols from like the resistance groups, like the Fireflies, which is the main resistance group that you actually work for in this game. Let's get back to the story for just a little bit here, since I've talked about mechanics enough. Joel, early on in the game, gets this job transporting a little girl, a 13-year-old girl, very much like his daughter before she died 20 years back. And he is charged with his friend Tess to escort her to a group of Fireflies across the country, without disclosing why. They say why, they ask why, they're not told why. They say, if you do this, we'll get you these giant shipments of weapons and everything that you could possibly want from this person that you were trying to get it from previously. So they reluctantly decide to take this little girl along. Her name is Ellie, and you find out pretty quickly that Ellie has been bitten by an infected, but she was bitten quite a while ago. It seems that she is immune to the disease in some capacity, and that's why you are ending up taking her to where you need to go. You get stopped along the way by some people. The revelation that she is infected is very poignant. You get stopped by some people that are checking you out. They're like using some scanner to see if you're infected or not, and Ellie tries to fight them before she can do anything else. You kill them and notice that she's infected, and she tells you that she's been this way for quite a while and has not turned, and that is the main driver for keeping you going. Tess dies fairly closely after that, and so it ends up just being Joel and Ellie for a huge portion of the game. There'll be lots of other side characters that you meet, all with incredible stories, all with incredible motivation, all with typically very sad ends as well. Some of the best ones are Bill. If you've seen the TV show, they expand on that character quite a bit. I really loved Bill in the game especially. I thought he was a very good character. You can tell that he is very much a loner, but doesn't like being alone. He clearly doesn't love Joel, but also really wants to help him. It's just a really cool relationship to see how Joel knows all these people and their reluctance to help him, but their ultimate surrendering to him because they know what he does for other people and what he has done. Just to try and keep things moving along, try and keep a little bit of hope left in humanity. It's a really cool thing. As you transport Ellie across the way, you'll run into some other people. There's another kid that she runs into that she gets to have some time with before he ultimately turns. It's just heart-wrenching. Every single good thing that you find in this game is ultimately wrenched away, which is such a sad part. But there's one part in particular that really got me when I first played through this game, and really does every single time I play it after as well. There's a time where you go through a building, and there's decay and everything. A lot of the sides have broken apart. Ellie sees something, and you start running after her because she really wants to see what this is. It feels like a potentially tense moment, but you can tell that if she's running forward without you, it can't be something dangerous, and you just keep wondering what it is that she's so excited about. And finally you get to a point where there's a big hole in the side of the building, and you see giraffes just standing there from like a zoo they'd gotten out eventually, and there they are. A really gorgeous, beautiful, majestic animal that Ellie had never seen before. Was born during this entire pandemic that's been going on. She's never seen anything like this, and all of a sudden she sees this giant animal, its head sticking out right next to her at the top of this building. Allows her to go up and pet the giraffe. It's so lovely and beautiful. This serene moment of peace, tranquility here in the midst of all this chaos is just absolutely phenomenal. The way they did this moment, I don't know if anyone has ever done something so special in a game before. It really honestly hits me every single time. It's just a small moment of relief, but every time I savor it because it is just so beautiful. And it's just for the sake of showing that there is still beauty in this world. And it's really cool to see how Joel and Ellie, as they experience these things together and as they find moments like this, how they grow closer together. They have a very tumultuous relationship. They do not like each other at first. They don't want to be traveling together. Joel really wants to just get rid of her as quickly as possible. But you can see their bond start to grow stronger. And you can tell that Joel has kind of got this new daughter, as it were. He's got this new connection. And it's a really beautiful thing. But of course, everything gets ripped away several times throughout this game. Ellie gets captured at one point. Joel gets hurt, and she's trying to help him. There's so much chaos going on, and when Ellie gets captured and Joel starts to get better, he goes on an absolute rampage to go and save her. After he's finally made this connection, after he knows that he needs to keep her safe, he goes to no end to save Ellie, and it is brutal. The game, the way that they show Joel devolving into, really madness and driven by revenge and by bloodshed at some points is a really frightening thing. But you also respect it at the same time because Joel just loves Ellie so much. He just wants her to be safe, wants her to be happy, wants to take care of her, that you respect him as a father figure. You start to say, yeah, would I have done the same? Would I have wanted to do the same if I were in his shoes? You start to sympathize with him. I think that's why I'll just talk about Last of Us Part 2. I think that's why a lot of people were upset with Last of Us Part 2, because they just love Joel so much. But that's a tangent. I'll talk about that another time. Further on into the game, you finally get Ellie to where you need to go. She is very determined to get where she needs to go because she really wants to be the savior of humanity. She wants to give people more hope. She's kind of the symbol of hope that you have, that you're carrying throughout the game. You finally get to where you need to go, and they take her into a room. Joel, you get I think taken by a current, and the fireflies carry you out and save your lives. And Joel wakes up and notices Ellie's gone. They said they're prepping her for surgery, that the fungus has kind of metastasized throughout her body and apparently is on part of her brain. And so to remove it, they'd have to remove part of her brain, and which would ultimately kill her. When Joel finds this out, the fireflies know he's not going to be very happy about that. And so they detain him, make sure he's we'll take you out if we need to, because we need to try and save humanity here. But Joel does not take kindly to this, and at the first chance he gets, he goes on an absolute rampage. The final encounter here in the hospital in Salt Lake is one of the coolest things I've ever experienced, because you are severely outmatched, severely outnumbered, and by doing some of the best plays that you possibly can, and by being incredibly tactical, you can fight them off and get to where you need to go and save Ellie's life. I think in lieu of a boss battle, they have some kind of bosses in terms of the big bads that you fight, some human enemies at times, as well as the bloaters I talked about earlier. You have some boss encounters like that, but nothing really amounts to what this encounter is. It's just a bunch of humans that are very trained, very good at what they do, and you systematically taking them down to get to your ultimate goal. It's a beautiful final battle. I like a lot what they did with this one. You finally get into the room, you kill the doctor, that is about to operate on Ellie. You take her out and kill the Fireflies leader, take Ellie away, and she wakes up in the car with you driving. You tell her that there were lots of people just like her and they haven't been able to find a cure yet. And you keep driving, and you ultimately go back to Jackson, where your brother is stationed. I didn't even talk about that part earlier on, where an actual settlement of people exist, living off of the electricity of the dam and the water, like hydraulics and everything that they're using. And you just go back to live with them. At the very end of the game, Ellie really kind of attacks Joel and says, "Hey, I need you to tell me what you said to me was actually the truth, and you're not lying to me." And he swears to her that he's telling the truth, and that's the end of the game. And it's, again, one of the most beautiful endings to a game ever, because you know that Joel is lying. Everyone knows that he is. Everyone knows that Joel went through hell just to save Ellie and to damn the rest of humanity, potentially damn them to this hell for the rest of forever. Because what if Ellie's the only person that could have done this? And how long can he actually keep her safe? But you also sympathize with him, because what dad wouldn't do that for their kid? It's a very poignant ending, a really beautiful thing, and it gets me every single time. There are so many times that I'll play through this game that I will just sob at various points. That never stops being impactful to me. And I think that's what makes this game such a timeless masterpiece for me, is that Naughty Dog just scripted a game that just works every single time. It's so beautiful, it's so harrowing, it's so heart-wrenching, and the moments of happiness just don't last that long. It just shows the despair of the world. So that's The Last of Us. I know I've been talking for like 20 minutes here all about this game, but it really is one of my favorites for a big reason. It's so much fun to play through. I get so much enjoyment playing this every single time. In the remastered version in the PlayStation 4, I don't know if it's in the PlayStation 5 version. I'm assuming it is, but I actually don't know a lot about that one. I haven't played that version yet. You also have a multiplayer factions mode that is tied to a couple trophies, which is annoying for me because going for a platinum and getting online multiplayer trophies can be a pain in the butt. But the factions multiplayer is so fantastic. You play as survivors, and you go through like essentially like a season, if it were like an online competitive thing, but like based on your own pace, where you just try and win as many matches as you can, get supplies for people. You have your little population of people, and like the choices you make and the how often you win dictates how they survive or don't. It's a really cool idea, and it's really fun. It's a really difficult third-person multiplayer game, and it's very different from anything you could ever experience. So if you haven't tried that PlayStation 4 version, hopefully there's still people playing it, because it really is fantastic. So that's a nice cherry on the top, and I hope they actually do something with the factions in the future. So that's going to be my review of The Last of Us. I'm obviously going to give this one a platinum rank if it's my third best favorite game of all time. So I'm not going to show it on the screen here, because I'm not doing any editing this time around. This is one of the best video games of all time. If you have not tried it for some reason, go get it on whatever platform. Get a PlayStation 4 copy, get the PS5 remaster, or get the original and play it on the PlayStation 3. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.